What is up? Welcome to the podcast. We have the amazing Elysia Skye as the guest today. We talk about all kinds of stuff. It's going to unlock maybe some blocks about time, about money, about mindset. This is like really big. Happy full moon. It's a worm moon. I love zombies. This is going to be a great day. Right now, she's got Clarity Camp. You got to sign up for it. It's March 25th through the 28th in Florida. Sounds lovely. Please enjoy the episode, and many thanks to our guest, Elysia Skye. She has a Patreon, coaching programs, her own podcast, and just if you're wondering, we used Riverside to make her podcast and this podcast. I'll drop a link below.
Amplified.
Hello and welcome back to Oberman Amplified, where we talk about music business, entrepreneurship, and mindfulness. And I am so thrilled for our guest, Elysia Skye, who is a transformational life coach, who is an intuitive leadership consultant, podcast host, award-winning producer. Your podcast has over 50 episodes. You're in the top 25 percentile of podcasts. You're my first podcaster on. No pressure. And you've created the Brilliance Method. You also are an actor and a producer for film and TV projects, which is very exciting. I love that world. You're married to a very talented musician. You are a musician yourself. So I'm just so thrilled. And also, your one-on-one sessions are not free, and you are being so generous with your time. So I'm going to try to make the most of this. Everybody go crazy for our amazing guest today, Elysia Skye.
Like the Muppets. That's so fun. You know what's wild, Kristen, is like in so many industries, people tell you to just like stay in your lane and be one thing. And it's like, we are creative. If you're listening to Kristen read my bio or whatever she found about me on the internet, it's like, like, that's okay. We are all so many things. And, you know, it was funny. I didn't think you were going to bring up like production or acting. And I'm like, yeah, like I had an audition this week. Like, it's fun. I play. I'm here to play. But as you mentioned, my focus is on the intuitive work and the work that I do with my clients and in business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I just want to get right at the top in case people get all like ADD dolphin and they leave. You have Clarity Camp coming up March 25th through 28th in Florida. It's just an in-person event. What's that all about?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up right at the top. So this is magic. This is a goddess gathering. I do it once a year. I might start doing it twice a year. Essentially, right now it is women only. That could change in the future. So dudes, just hang on another 2 minutes. We'll be wrapping back up into the music and the mindfulness here. And it's this theme for this year is about self-trust. How to trust yourself. One of my favorite things to do is to help clients get out of their own way. And the best way to do that is through listening to your intuition, having mindful moments. What does that even mean? And surrendering. And a lot of people associate surrender with giving up, and it's not that at all. And when you do those things in your life and in your business, everything expands and gets a lot more abundant in all ways. So we're going to the beach. We're going to Fort Lauderdale. It actually goes till it is till the 28th. Yeah. 25th, 26th, 28th. Normally we go to Sunday, but I wanted everybody to be able to travel Sunday. And it used to be a 2-day event. Now it's a 3.5-day event so that people have time to integrate. That was one of the biggest pieces of feedback I got over and over with all my in-person events is we do so much. Like there's so much. We need downtime to integrate because like I'm an Energizer bunny. I'm like, go, go, go. And yes, everyone is welcome. Feel free to go to the website, which will be in the show notes, I'm sure. And if you want to be there, just hit me up and we'll chat about you being there because it is a life-changing, transformational event. This isn't one of those like show up and you feel good when you're there and then you leave and you don't remember anything that happened. You will actually be shifting your frequency. We are changing timelines. You will be leaving behind the parts of your life that no longer serve you and stepping into the version of yourself that you know already exists. You just feel slightly disconnected from her, and we're going to heal those pieces. So there's a lot that we do. I won't get into all the things that we're going to do, but surrender, fall back. We got you. It's the most amazing group of women. It's really intimate, under 15 people. And yeah, I wish you could be there, Kristen.
I love that. And also, like, today is a full moon.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting. Feeling the vibe. You're an intuitive. We were going to speak like weeks ago, and then you were like, there's a storm coming. And then and then I'm so glad that we canceled because it was like I had some things happen technically getting this podcast off the ground. There's always a learning curve. And then you were without power for like a week, 2 weeks.
9 days.
Whew.
Yeah.
Everyone's okay.
Yeah, we're all
Replaced
okay.
all the frozen foods.
Yeah, we lost a few trees, and I was finding myself crying a lot, and I posted something about it on Facebook, and I posted all the photos of the trees and everything, and just leaning on my community a little bit, and I'm a very strong person, and like you, sometimes people don't really worry about the strong people. It seems like we got it all together, and we've got these cool things going on and these great relationships with influential people, and it's like, oh, she's fine. I was not fine, and so I was like, you know what? This is a time to be vulnerable in a safe place. So I posted in my community, and someone had said, "You're grieving the trees." And all of a sudden, it was like, bam, that's exactly what was going on. And anytime we're having a shift connected to grief or loss or trauma, it's usually not just that one thing, right? That's like that just triggers a domino effect of like all the other areas in my life I don't feel safe when like a tree crashes on your house when you're asleep, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, this is connected to safety. And what is that connected to? For me, safety is very much connected to money. And so like I just had a whole thing and I had to get myself out of it using the tools that I teach. But yeah, there were a couple days where I was like, I'm just going to cry and be sad. And that's important to have those days. So sorry I
Wow.
rescheduled.
Did a
I
did
couldn't
a
do it.
tree did a tree fall on your house?
Yep.
Oh my god. Wow,
Yeah,
and
it
you're
was
in
like
Nashville, Tennessee, where there's really tall trees and there's really intense rainstorms, thunderstorms, sometimes tornadoes. It's no
mhm.
joke. Wow. Well, I hope it's all the grief moved through and hopefully like things are cleaned up and
Yeah,
moved
it's
along.
interesting. The day that the tree guys came and cleaned the tree off the house and the other tree and branches that had fallen in the front yard, I instantly felt better and I cried and I hugged the tree guy. He was like, "It's okay. I know it's a lot." I'm like, "This is more about bigger than the trees. Thank you." I just felt so light. So I'm that girl. If you come to Clarity Camp or we meet, like I'm gonna hug you. And I'm a weirdo, and I think this is like a good place for weirdos to hang out. But what was wild about that night, Kristen? It was sleeping and I had this huge fear come over me and I woke up and I felt my heart just like pound big and it was in front of my chest. And I went out into the living room and I looked outside. And my husband, Kalen, comes out, and he's like in his underwear. And it's really dark. And he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "That tree is going to fall on the house." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Which one?" I'm like, "That one." I told him which one it was. We have a lot of trees. We're like in this beautiful family of trees around the house. So he goes outside in my bedroom slippers in his underwear while it's like 20 degrees. And I'm watching him and he's standing under the tree looking up at it. And I'm like panicking. I'm like, "I just said that tree was going to fall. Why are you standing under the tree?" And he's pushing on it and he comes back upstairs and he goes, "That tree's not going to fall. It's not even windy outside. We've had all our trees inspected. They said that tree was fine." I was like, "That tree's going to fall." So I finally fell back asleep around 7 a.m. after calming myself down. Around 9 a.m., bam, so loud. The tree not just falls, lands on the roof over my head and goes through my upstairs outside deck. And we had a friend staying with us during the storm. And so it went like it was just shaking that side of the house. And it felt like an earthquake. And so we picked up the animals and we all were like in the hallway. And I'm like, "Gavin, are you okay? Are we all okay?" We're all okay. I'm like, "Ah." And then I sat down and everyone's like, "Okay, we're all okay." And we open the door and we see, you probably saw the photos of like the tree through my deck. Or if not, I'll send them to you. It's insane. And we sat on the couch and Kaylin was like, "You were right." It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this work, who you're married to, like, and I respect his opinion and his intuition. Shit's crazy. Welcome to my world. It's just weird.
Wow.
Weird over here.
Well, and that's like I want to circle back to like the intuition and to the having knowing because I do think that we all have that to different degrees and it's like do you hone the skills? Do you have like I know that if I'm really feeling a song coming through and I pick up a guitar and I just have the space, then something's going to come through. And it's not even really me writing the song, but I just would say about Clarity Camp, like if people are watching this on the full moon, they're just feeling impulsive. They're like, you know what? I would love to go to Florida and feel the sun on my skin and connect with a bunch of amazing women. And you have this like light desire about it. That's when the transformation comes. When you're all bound up and like, we're going to Disney and like we've been planning this trip for a year and a half, and that's when you like get the flu before you go. And there's lines everywhere and you have a shitty time. And when it's just like a light, I don't know, that kind of, maybe this is my next question, is like, when you're getting an impulse to do something, when is that like anxiety, excitement, or like, I don't want to follow through on doing my taxes, so I'm going to pick up that ukulele that's been collecting dust and work on a song? Like, when is it avoiding something that actually you need to adult and you need to follow through because that's part of like, you talk about leadership, you talk about holding the steadiness, and when is it like, no, 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 your spirit guides or like your intuition is trying to like deliver this amazing moment to you on ukulele, maybe a life of ukulele, and you need to take that impulse to pick it up off the shelf and play it and don't do your taxes now. Like, how do you decide?
There's so many answers to those questions. We don't have time for all of them, but I'm going to give you some cliff notes that will help you. And we're kind of talking about two different things. So, one, when you get an intuitive hit, it's usually a quiet whisper. And even though my heart was pounding and I sat up and I didn't know what was going on, it wasn't until I went out to the couch and I just looked out the window and I got really quiet that I knew exactly what was going on. Because the loud fear and the scary stuff actually drowns out so much of our intuition. It's why a lot of people, especially intuitives, have a hard time reading for themselves. And we consult all the time with other intuitives, coaches. I have an amazing coach, I have an amazing intuitive mentor because it helps us to ground. Sometimes when it's us, we can't get out of our own way about it. But I'm pretty good about that after all this time. At once in a while, I just need a minute and I need some help. So if it's loud and scary and there's a lot of fear and a lot of energy and you're not really breathing, it's usually not your intuition. It's usually your ego. Okay. And our ego is here to keep us alive. So consider we have our spirit and we have our ego. And our ego, if you imagine the blueprint of a body in your body, it's like an echo, a blueprint of your body. And when you pass away one day, your ego doesn't go with you. Your ego is not eternal. Again, it's here to keep you safe. So it is going to occasionally give you an intuitive hit, but it's not the same as listening to your intuition on a daily basis. Your ego wants you to stay alive because like I said, if you die, it's done, but your spirit goes on and your soul is eternal. And you might go, "Wait, you just said spirit but then soul, what's the difference?" There is a difference. So our soul, so now we're going to add another layer, okay? Our soul is eternal. Our soul is perfect love. If you believe in God consciousness, it's just love, right? It's not just, it is. It's the most magnificent thing that there is. And it creates all. And we are not separate from that. We are part of that. And so when people say, "Wait, you think you're God?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm part of God energy." Like we are all part of God energy. That's what it is. It's this infinite source of love that continues to create. And it loves creativity, which is why it comes through so beautifully in music. And so our soul is eternal. Our soul doesn't has no issues with, no, take the risk. Well, what if I die? Okay, we'll try again next time. Like the soul's not affected, right? And then your spirit is here. It also looks like a blueprint of your body. Your spirit is here in this state of consciousness that knows your life plan, that knows all your past lives.
Quick interruption from a word from our favorite sponsor, me, to let you know that Pinto, the new record, is out now on Righteous Babe Records. You can buy it, and then you could listen to it, and then everyone would be so stoked. Also, Clarity Camp is happening end of March, led by the amazing Elysia Skye, so sign on up. And I also just launched a new coaching program, including the 9-month band doula, which I'm pretty excited about this. It's like having a go-to person for 9 months to help you along your journey of music business. So if that's something you're interested in, head on over to my website. Okay, back to the episode.
That knows the lessons you're here to experience karmically and to clear and heal karma. And it's not that your soul isn't connected to that, but your soul is such perfect love that it's just here to have the experience. It's just here for the ride, right? And when we feel like we have control over everything and we want control over everything. Again, it's the ego trying to keep us safe. So let's say you need to do your taxes. Do you need to do your taxes right now?
Yeah, I do.
Is this a personal question? Right. You got to do your taxes. Okay. So we know they have to get done. And if you're very creative, and if anyone listening has any element of neurodivergence, sometimes there we go. Sometimes doing tasks that are boring feel like hell. It feels like suffering. So what your ego is saying, Kristen, don't suffer. Let's distract you with something else. We don't want you to suffer because your brain doesn't know the difference between actual pain, like the pain of doing your taxes, or like a physical threat. It just knows you're
Hmm.
suffering and you're scared. Okay. So then all those reactions go off in your brain, and then your ego is activated. It's like, hey, we're suffering. Let's do something else. Let's do something that feels safe and easy and fun. And where it gets tricky is like the spirit and the soul just want to do things that are fun. It loves fun. Okay. But because you are a being of love, your soul is perfect love. Your soul doesn't care if you do your taxes or you play the ukulele. It's just here to have the experience. What it really doesn't want you to do necessarily is be hard on yourself about the choice that you made.
Hmm.
And that is the true path, is can I make a choice and be kind and compassionate to myself in the moment? For people who do meditation, that's what meditation's all about. It's not about stopping your thoughts. That's really hard to do. It's about not judging yourself when you realize you've been trying to meditate for 15 minutes and you've been thinking about not doing your taxes. And then you're like, oh man, I really suck at meditation. No, that's when you quote unquote didn't do the meditation right, is when you start judging yourself about it. And life is no different. So
Hmm.
if spirit is coming through writing a ukulele song, then you pick up the ukulele and you play the song. And if you are bored doing your taxes, if it's painful to do the taxes, if it feels like suffering to do your taxes, then what you need to do is you need to trick your ego so that you are safe to do your taxes. So it doesn't feel like it's a threat to the ego's existence. So you might do some co-working, right? You might body double. You might say, hey, Elysia, I need to do my taxes. Do you need to do your taxes? I do. Okay, can we get on Zoom and do them together? And like every 20 minutes, have like a dance party and check in and set a 5-minute timer and go eat a snack and then come back and work again. Like, yeah, I could do that. Right. Find a way to give yourself playful moments, playful breaks, make it fun. One of my friends and I, we do sexy money dates every Monday, and we reconcile our finances, which means we look at what did we spend, what's coming in, what's coming out, so that things don't get overwhelmed and terrible like they've been.
Sexy money date Monday.
We do it, right? So it's like no bra, put on a crown, light a candle, essential oils, put on some fun music. And what did I buy? What did I buy? What did I buy? What bills are coming up? Because I don't like doing that stuff. So I have to make it fun. Does
Wow.
that answer your question? Because it's a loaded question.
It does. No, it was really beautiful. And you talk about like a lot of, kind of woo-woo things, but we also are in the entrepreneur space. And I think it's really important to marry both the logical and the, I don't know, ephemeral. Is that what's the word?
Ethereal,
Ethereal? Eh,
esoteric,
There it
spiritual.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to chat with you a little bit about you mentioned on your amazing podcast, which everyone should go like and subscribe, 5 stars, that you dated broke musicians before you met your amazing husband, and that, a lot of them needed sort of saving. And I am a recovering broke musician. I have a new mantra that like I am wealthy and I'm becoming wealthier all the time. And it's really great to just put that in my head. Of course I saved 20%. I'm wealthy. I'm becoming
That's right.
wealthier all the time. But why do you think it is that musicians are often, and you could say, actors, creatives, producers, writers, are often so broke, and are also, I think some of that goes hand in hand with burnout, addiction, just making not maybe the best choices. Just
Sure, sure.
why, and how do we get out of the trap of that?
It's a beautiful question. So, and I don't remember if my husband was broke when I met him or not. And that wouldn't have been a disqualification because again, I was really good at dating broke musicians. And we've had plenty of times we've been broke since we've been together. But uh yeah, I definitely was on a trajectory of just trying to save people, fix people, and that's not my jam. But we'll talk about that maybe after the lighthouse analogy that you mentioned earlier. So creatives and I am one of them, our there's the landscape has changed, right, Kristen? It used to be if you got a deal, you got, the tour was paid for, merch was paid for, like you were set. It's changed so much. And now we're expected to not just be artists, we're also expected to be producers, editors, marketing experts, social media gurus, right? There's so much that's been layered on. But also, I feel like the opportunities have also expanded and also doubled. There's so many more ways now to reach audiences that there weren't before. So, number one, check yourself, not you specifically, but just for whoever's listening, check yourself if you feel bitter in any way that there's so much you have to do to be a creative. Okay. So, that's part one is check yourself. And because things have changed and the world is going to continue to move forward and keep changing, you either go with it or you don't. Okay. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. If it feels satisfying to have a full time job and just play music nights and weekends or play the occasional gig with your buddies, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But for those who are like, nope, this is all I'm meant to do and this is my calling, you have a few options, right? You either play the game the way they want you to play it now, knowing the payoff is big and helping yourself to cope with whatever challenges mentally, physically, emotionally that come through while you're playing the game. You had mentioned addiction and all of those things, right? Those are low frequency energies. So you want to surround yourself with people who exist more in a higher frequency, like Kristen and myself. And if you don't have friends like us, then that's why you watch this podcast. That's why you watch my podcast. That's why, like, they say, my grandmother used to say all the time, I want you to hang out with rich people. I'm like, why? Like, my friends are all actors. She's like, because you are the summation of like the five people you spend the most time with. And there
Mhm.
is a truth to it because we're influenced by their energy. And then the people you spend time with have other relationships and they introduce you to those relationships and they get invited to be on a festival or in a film. And then there might be a part for you. And if you're hanging out with generous, loving, kind, compassionate people who are not competitive because they're at a higher frequency, maybe they'll bring you along, like how you invited me to be on your show today. Right. So in that regard, again, you check yourself, you change who you spend your time with. And some people, if they're like, well, I don't want to quit drinking because then it's going to change my whole friend group. Okay, so your real friends will support your journey, even if they continue drinking. They just will. Anyone who's not supporting you, why are you spending your time with them? Right. So then
Mm,
we ask ourselves, where am I not feeling worthy of my art? If
mm,
you chose, I believe we choose the life that we live on a very spiritual level, right? Let's say little Kristen is up there on the cloud and she's like, all right, I'm jumping in. Okay, here's the life plan. All right, you're going to be a musician. You're going to do this. You're going to be gay. You're going to live in Nashville. You're going to live in LA. You're going to like all these things, right? Okay, I
mhm.
got this. Here's your bucket of karma. Go. All right, go play. So we chose this. So even if there's something you don't like about your voice or your body or whatever, it's like, honey, slow down. You chose it.
Huh.
You chose it. So give it love. Give it love and walk around like you are God's gift to the music industry.
Oof.
And that doesn't mean you tell everybody I'm God's gift to the music industry. You share your music the way that you would share like the most delicious thing you just baked or made. Or, hey, look at my cute dog. Isn't my dog the cutest? Isn't my song the best? Like, hey, listen, listen, listen. And you are so good about that. Okay. And look, any entrepreneur deals with fatigue when it comes to
Mhm,
always promoting themselves, always talking about themselves. So the next piece I would layer on is ask for help. Ask for support. You don't have to do this by yourself. And not everybody is budgeted. And we're talking about being a broke musician, but not everyone's budgeted to hire a VA or hire an assistant or whatever. But it's kind of like never been easier. My VA has been with me for 4 years. She lives in the Philippines. When I hired her, she told me to pay her like $4 an hour. And I laughed and I was like, I'm not paying you $4 an hour. And she's like, no, like that's like more than the dean at my university makes. Like that's a good life for me. And I was
wow.
like, okay, if you're really satisfied with $4 an hour, how's $8 an hour? And I'm feeling like shitty. I'm like, that's not money. That's not a lot of money. She's like, oh my gosh, on $8 an hour. She's bought a house. She's taken her family on a trip to Dubai. She's had 2 children. Her youngest baby is named after me. like I've provided this incredible life for this beautiful person who's helped me with my business for $8 an hour, okay? So
Wow.
if you're a broke musician and you can make a choice to cook one night a week instead of go out, don't go to the bar one night, don't buy a pack of cigarettes that week, whatever it is, you can have somebody who is qualified and dedicated, who is a great worker, help you. Now, of course, do we want to hire people locally in our space or in our community or in the country we live in? Sure. But you can do that when you have money. Okay. Just receive the help. And maybe you're going to help provide an incredible life for someone like I did that I didn't know. Okay. So
So
this is about
what
asking.
what do you what do you tell your virtual assistant to do for you? Like, I wouldn't
So
even know where do you find them? What do you put on their plate? How do you make sure they're actually doing it?
yeah, I mean, if you just put on I mean, there's so many places to find virtual assistants these days. If you just look up like virtual assistant Philippines, they're usually in Philippines or in India. I went with a Philippine company. Filipino people are typically very spiritual. They're very dedicated. They're not extremely culturally historically entrepreneurial, so they're really good at, sticking with you for a long time. Like she's been with me for 4 years. All the assistants I had in LA who were in person like outgrew me and started their own businesses, as they should, because that's LA and we're an entrepreneurial society. So I wanted someone that I didn't have to retrain all the time, right? So
Mhm.
ask how do we find them? Ask people. Hey, do you know anyone? I'm looking for an assistant. I'm looking for someone actually credible overseas that's not crappy, that's not going to hose me, that I'm not going to have to fix all the time, right? So one thing that I have her do that you can relate to, Kristen, is I have her log into my podcast platform, Riverside, where I record. And I say, hey, you're in charge of the magic clips. I want you to make all the reels. You're going to put my brand on it. You're going to update the captions. One of my requirements when I hired her was that she was very creative, really good on Canva, really good with graphics. She has a
Mhm.
background in e-commerce. She speaks really good English, so we could communicate really clearly. And so that way I trust her to go in and do all my reels. So that takes so much time off my plate that she does that. And then she goes into Canva and she makes my podcast graphics and headers. You want to hire someone to do the tasks that are not connected to your zone of genius.
Wow.
Okay. Think about it like this. If we had a grid, got a whiteboard, but then we have to move the camera. Let's say there's like $1 sign, a $2. When you look at a fancy restaurant, it's like $2 sign, $3 sign, $4 sign. You're looking for a place to eat, and it's like, oh, that's a $4 sign restaurant, right? All the work that you do, writing a song, performing, having a meeting where you're working with your team to make decisions about your business. Those are the $4 sign tasks. Those are your zone of genius tasks. Nobody can do those but you. Those are visionary tasks. Those are CEO tasks. Okay. Then you back it up to the $3 tasks, right? It's still expensive. You can do them. It'll help you to train those people. But I even think training people is in your visionary because you want to show them you're visionary. Eventually, the people you train will train other people. But those are the things that you don't need to do. You'll eventually have a high level assistant, your manager, like anything that you're doing that's like managerial, to booking your tour dates, right? Like things that take a lot of intelligence, connection, but they don't have to be your intelligence, your connections, right? Remember on The Simpsons years ago, Homer was running for sanitation commissioner. And his slogan was, can't someone else do it? About like, and then the whole city just wound up being covered in trash because no one was picking up the trash, right? But I kind of love that for thinking about the things you should and shouldn't be doing in your business that are a time suck, that are boring, going back to what we were talking about. Unlike if you have ADD or like anything where it's like, that's boring. I'm not going to do it. The ego now thinks I'm dying. So I'm going to go play instead. And then things just don't get done and your tour isn't booked. Right. So anything like that, you want to delegate to someone else. Anything, if you task track your week or even like a couple of days, like what are all the things you do in a day? And then you look at it and go, how much of this could someone else actually do where they don't need to be inside my brain? It's like 95%,
Wow.
right? So when you think about that, you get so much time back if you choose how much of this stuff actually doesn't need to get done. Like how much of this is just me being productive because someone told me at some point I was supposed to do this shit and I actually don't have to. right? Like, there have been times in our life where we are not budgeted for a housekeeper or someone to come and help us clean our house. And so we would pause the service and then we would spend like a whole weekend deep cleaning the house. And I'm like, that was like 16 hours of my time. Shouldn't I just pay someone 200 bucks and do
Mm,
it once a month or twice a month? It's like,
mhm.
but then, right. And then you're reacting from scarcity. So if you're like, oh, well, I need to pay for, let's say you need to get your, what do you call it? When you get your guitar, there's something Kalen always does with his guitar.
A setup?
Yeah, you
Guitar
get a
setup?
setup, right? Go.
Mhm.
You can pay for the proper setup, or you could spend hours on YouTube trying to do it yourself, possibly break your shit, right?
Yep.
Something like that. It's like, no, you're just going to pay for it because your time is valuable. So it always comes back to your self worth, self compassion, your God's gift to this art. I'm worthy and
Mhm.
deserving of a happy life, right? And then $2 tasks. This is like pretty much virtual assistant stuff, right? The taking the social media stuff off your plate and hopefully eventually your full episode video editing once they get the rhythm of what it is and responding to emails that you don't need to touch like, hey, I'd love to be on Kristen's podcast. Someone else can respond to that, and then if they approve that person or they like who they are, then you get on the call with them, right? Like there's so many things you just don't have to be involved in right away. And then those like $1 tasks, those things don't make you any money at all, right? Doing your dishes, if you have kids, picking up the kids, having sex with your partner, going on a walk, like things that you do. If you're task tracking every week, you do these things, they don't make you any money. So you're probably not going to outsource some of the ones I named. But if there's a day that you need to get someone to pick up your kids, you ask them to, but if you're like, no, that's a big, meaningful part of my life, then you don't skip that. It doesn't mean it's not as valuable as a $4 task, but it's not making you any money. So you'll decide, am I going to have someone else handle the dishes, the laundry, right? And it's like, okay, well, I want to go to yoga. That's on a $1 task. Okay. It doesn't mean it's not valuable. It means it's not making you money. Those $2
Mhm.
tasks, as someone else does them, they're making you money. $3 tasks, making you money. Those $4 tasks, they make you all the money. So you're going to have a bunch of stuff in your $1 task and your $4 tasks. Those are your responsibility. And if you can delegate any of the $1 tasks out, you do it. And then in between, that's what you give your virtual assistant
I love
or your
that.
manager or your executive assistant.
That is so empowering too, because I feel like as a musician or as an actor, you're like, "Where's my agent? Like, where's my manager? Where's the booking agent? Where's the marketing company? Like, who's gonna do this for me? And like,
Mhm.
when do I get a break? When have I made it enough that someone else does it?" And it's like, you're just saying, track your tasks, figure out what's really important that you do yourself, and then start creating systems that other people can help you do. And you can buy someone a beautiful life in the Philippines for pennies on the dollar. That's amazing.
Or you find an intern who's going to college, right? For music management or music business. You say, "Hey, if you're just starting out and you barely know how to play guitar and you're like, maybe I should start singing, not the time to hire an intern." Okay? But you could hire an assistant. You could pay, you could if you're working, you can pay to have someone help you get your all your things set up on BMI and ASCAP and all your stuff, right? And set up your iTunes and all the things. I don't know if they still call it iTunes, but when I get billed every month, my bill says iTunes, just to be really clear. So, not to date myself there. But yeah, when is all that going to come? Again, check yourself. Are you mad about it? Are you mad about it? And then if you're mad
Mm,
about it, you get to go, I'm just playing the game. I'm just going to keep playing the game. And I have all these roles until I don't anymore. But I think hiring an
mhm,
intern, if you're able to, now there's certain intern requirements. Some interns expect to be paid, they expect gas compensation, they at least expect to be paid minimum wage. Some don't. Some are like, no, I just want the experience. Okay. And if you've
mhm,
formed an LLC or a corporation or something, then you can give them college credit. Then that's a perk for them. But maybe it's a perk for them just to be able to show up with you to your show and see what happens when you get there early and who you talk to. Like they need to see the behind the scenes of what's happening in the industry. These people are so hungry to learn and they don't know how any of it works because they might not be a musician. Or you get a young musician who sees that you have a bit more success than they do, and then they want to learn too. Ask for help and receive the help.
I love that. Well, that kind of sets me up for just briefly, if you want to talk about some of your time in LA. So you were part of Second City Improv Olympics and Groundlings. So you've got like, you're into astrology and self help, but then you can make people laugh. And then also as a producer, you've had some big clients like the Oprah Winfrey Network, Disney, I think NBC was on there. So
Mhm.
as a producer, like, how are you, or entrepreneur, someone who's selling themselves, how do you land these big clients? And how is the LA sort of hustle and everyone has their lane? Like, you're an actor, you're a writer, you're in the union, you only do certain things. Like, how have you kind of navigated? It seems like you're just like, I'm doing my thing, how?
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know,
that's like eight
at the
questions. Sorry.
I get no, I get it's a good one. At the time, I didn't know I was doing what I'm about to tell you I did. Okay. So just to be really clear, it wasn't like I had this big plan and this strategy and I knew A to B. It was like, I'm just going to follow my intuition and figure it out. So, first of all, I love to play. I don't like suffering. I don't like doing the busy work and the admin tasks and all that stuff. So, what felt fun? What felt playful? I love talking to people. I love relationships. I lean very much more as an introvert, even though as a speaker, as a coach, as all these things, you might think I'm an extrovert. I'm really not. You've spent enough time with me to know I'm pretty quiet unless someone's talking to me, right? So that's just how I am, which means I build real relationships because I have real conversations. It's not surface level. I'm going to a party. I need to meet 20 people. If I go to a party or a networking event or a network event in my industry, an industry event, my intention is to meet one person. If I've met one person and had a real conversation with them and exchanged contact information, then I've done it. And for me, that was always enough. Right. So, in going to LA and pursuing acting, my career went a weird way because I got breast cancer when I was 24.
Mm.
So I got into the Screen Actors Guild. Again, it was about relationships and having a good work ethic. And I did all those things. If you want, we can talk about that at any point, how I got into SAG. But I got into the Screen Actors Guild. In the future, I wound up helping a bunch of my friends get into the Screen Actors Guild. And we all did it legally and ethically, and it was really fun. We made an awesome movie. And then once my hair fell out, I was going through, chemo, radiation, having multiple surgeries. It was expensive to get new headshots all the time when my hair was like, I didn't have any hair. And then it was like this long, and then it was this long. There were so many things that were very difficult to navigate as an actor during a time of healing. And when we go through something so traumatic as cancer, it doesn't have to be that traumatic, but it's a huge change physically, emotionally. I chose to look at it and go, why did I get sick? Right. And even if someone's like, well, if your grandma had it, then of course you have it. That's not always the case. In fact, genetically predisposed disease, except for certain like gene mutations, as far as like breast cancer, just because, yes, if your mom had it, yes, there's a higher chance that you'll have it, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to have it. And it's not as high of a chance as you actually think it is if you go and look up those statistics, those medical statistics. So my
Mm.
grandmother had like a stage 1 lumpectomy at the time. I had gotten stage 3 cancer, almost really, really bad. So I wanted to work and I worked anywhere I could because I needed to pay my bills. And I owned a condo in the Valley in Studio City. And I got a job at the Apple store. And it was just like I applied during Christmas. Like, what a terrible idea. It's like retail at the mall in Glendale at the Apple store when iPods were like the biggest thing, right? And I'm sitting there like stalking. They never put me on cashier. I went right to the Genius bar and I had never had an Apple before in my life. They were like, you're so smart. We love how you talk to people and you're really patient with everybody. And you could deconstruct an iPod and put it back together and fix it. Like, I don't know how they knew this, but within 2 weeks, I was at the Genius bar. Right. So that should give you an example. Yes, I'm very smart, but it all has to do with how you think and feel about yourself. I'm a very confident person. I always have been. Doesn't mean there's times where I don't think I totally suck or I think I look ugly or whatever. I have all those moments pretty regularly, but more often than not, I think I'm pretty. I think I'm really talented. And like I said, Kristen, if you're God's gift to music, I'm God's gift to healing. Right? So with that, keep showing up. And if I get to do it in the Apple store, I can do it anywhere else on any stage with Oprah or NBC or Disney or whatever. So I'll fast forward, but those are some of the we'll call them soft skills, but they're really important of like, just be human, just be loving and kind and actually listen when people are talking. Like, we had cell phones back then. I wasn't on my phone.
And just to cut in quick, I want to hear the end of the story, but you went through something devastating, cancer, and coming back from it, and then going from Screen Actors Guild actor, top 5% of actors in SAG, and now you're working at the Apple store at the mall, and you are
Yeah.
talking about it with joy and saying how it set you up for this next exciting stuff, like working with Disney.
Yeah.
So,
It's so
wow,
funny.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go take off my wig and just because I was having a hot flash from chemo and vomit, brush my teeth, and then go back out onto the floor, you know? But it was what it was, and then, like, trying to bartend and just do all the things, and look, I never made it as, like, a super successful actor, but I worked consistently, I worked all the time, and it was fun, I just kept having fun. I'm looking down as I'm petting my dog who's asleep on my chair. So, when I knew I needed to keep working, I actually got fired from Apple because I requested too much time off for chemo, and
My
yes.
God.
Yeah, hey, I'm using a MacBook. I've got a stupid iPhone, but they fired me for taking too much time off for chemo. And everyone who I worked with was like, you need to sue them. That's an HR violation. And like, I looked into it a little. Every attorney I talked to was like, they're Apple. You're not going to win. They have more money than God. Like, what do you want? You want like another 2 months out of your retail contract? Like, I'm like, it's not worth my energy. It wasn't worth my energy.
Wow.
So, oh, you
I
know
did
how
get banned from playing the Apple Store because of some comments I made when I played the Boston Apple Store.
Oh my God. Okay, but listen how awesome this is. Here's how karma comes back around. Okay, I don't know how much I would have made at the time in 2005 into 2006. I don't know. I was probably making like $10 an hour, right? And how many hours did I work every week? 20, 25. So I recently won and received a business grant from Comcast, and they just sent me a brand new iPad, which I haven't even opened or set up yet. And I'm like, here's all the money I got back 20 years later.
Let the
It's so
universe take
funny.
care of it. It
That's
wasn't a
right.
$4 task for you.
That's
It
right.
wasn't.
That's right. So just, yeah. Look, if you get mad about shit, feel it out, feel it fully, right? If you want to have a day where you feel sorry for yourself, have the day, feel sorry for yourself. Just don't stay there. Okay. So I didn't want to stay there and like, why is this happening to me? I wanted to be a movie star. So before I had gotten cancer, I made a movie with my friends. This is what I was saying, how we got a bunch of people into SAG. We made a movie and it was a short film. This is the days before digital. We had to do it all on actual film. And it was so much fun. And I made this movie. I didn't know how to make a movie, but I'd spent enough time on set. And when I went on set, even as an actor, even as an extra, right, which I know you did quite a bit of in LA too, I didn't just sit in the parking lot with plastic chairs, right? I was like, I'm not going to sit here. And if I had a part and I was given like a green room or a trailer, I didn't just sit in my trailer. I was that girl who I was on set and I'm watching the lighting guy playing with the light meter. I'm like, what does that do? Right. I remember I was an extra on Pirates of the Caribbean 3. And I walked up to Video Village and Gore Verbinski was the director. And I was like, hey, is it okay if I just hang out here? He was like, sure. Right. I asked. Right. There's that. I don't know where this confidence came from, but like no one else was
That
asking. Right.
just for anyone who's doing background work, I do not recommend on your first day walking into the director's video village and saying, "Can I be here?" But also maybe you should and get fired, and maybe you won't get fired and you'll go the way you did. But that's very ballsy.
It was
Just as
ballsy,
someone
but you
who
know what?
has learned, don't look at the stars, don't say anything, don't step out of line. But I'm not SAG.
Oh,
So
whatever.
sorry, continue with your
I was
story. You
SAG on movie.
learned.
Being SAG did not give me permission to do that. Okay. But it didn't even cross my mind actually now until you've brought it up that maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, I just don't think maybe I shouldn't have done that because my intentions are good. Now, does everyone else always think my intentions are good? No. Do other people get annoyed with me? Yes. Have I been told that I've pissed people off? Yes. I don't intend to. Okay. I try to be much more conscious. This is now almost 20 years later. Right. So, but anyhow, look, their shit smells just like ours, right? These are human beings. And if no one else is asking, hey, can I learn what that is? Most people want to be helpful. also. They really do. Most people want to be helpful. And so I was looking at the camera and then he was like, "Oh, are you a director? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Basically, because I was 24, you know. So we just started talking and I had a close up in the film. So if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean 3 in the first like 10 minutes of the movie when they're hanging people, there's a close up of my dirty face because I'm a pirate crying, right? So also he was walking through the line and he goes, "Who can cry on cue?" And I raised my hand and he goes, "Her," because we'd already like established a relationship, right?
Mhm.
And so then I got the close up and it was just so fun, you know. And no, it wasn't a speaking part, but it was like a
What was
huge.
that feeling going to the theater and seeing you on the screen?
Well, it wasn't
That
the first
moment.
time I've seen myself on a big screen before, right? I had been in other movies and things where I was on the big screen. So I'll answer that the first time I saw myself on the big screen, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, so I was in a movie called Confidence with Ed Burns, Dustin Hoffman, and Rachel Weisz. And when that movie came out, and it was my scene, I only had one scene, but I had a few lines, right? So when I saw myself on the screen, I had all these interesting thoughts of critiquing my acting, critiquing my body, critiquing my face. And as I was having these critique thoughts, I remembered the director high-fiving me, Rachel Weisz and Ed Burns giving me a hug, having lunch with them that day. They were so surprised it was my first day on a real film set because they were so impressed with all of my abilities. And I got the part because I looked a certain way at the time and this or that. And I had a really good audition. So I was like, huh, all this shit up here, that's make believe. Right. And now what do we know, Kristen? That's the ego.
Uh,
It's just the
mhm.
ego, just playing tricks on you to go, it would actually be safer if you like got a real job because then we won't die of starvation while you're pursuing an art. And I was like, shut the fuck up, right? Go back into the heart. So I'm really good at mindful moments of stopping myself in the moment when I catch myself what we call upper limiting our experience. When we're having an experience of joy and then we self sabotage.
Mm.
If you watch the Brilliance Method podcast, there's an episode with a man named Gay Hendricks, and he wrote a book called The Big Leap. And I love this book so much that he's the one who coined the term zone of genius. So he explains the four different zones of consciousness: incompetence, competence, excellence, and genius. He walks you through it in the book. And he talks about upper limits, which is when we self sabotage joy because our body has hit a capacity for joy because we're so used to suffering.
Hmm.
And it's a magical, amazing book. Check out his episode on my show. Pick up all of his books. He's just such a great guy. So I hadn't known what upper limits were at the time, but I've been through enough shit in my life to where I knew that I just wanted peace and I just wanted to have fun. I did not have an easy childhood. I did not have an easy upbringing, and I moved to LA for peace, for play, and for opportunity. So here I was, my first day watching myself sabotaging it in my mind, and she came in right away. My spirit said, "Hell no. Shut that shit down." So get in the habit of noticing when you're self-sabotaging your own experience, when you've hit a limit of how much joy you can have and you're critiquing what you look like, what you sound like, what you said, and just go, "Wow, she's on TV." Right? And like this is TV now. This podcast, like this is what we're doing now. Right? Kristen, you are a producer, a director, an editor, a creator. Like amazing, right?
I
If
did
you
I
were
did the intro song too.
yeah, right? So you are the music supervisor and
That's
the
right.
musician, right? So long story slightly longer, and then we'll wrap this bit up. I got into production because I made that short film because I wasn't getting the parts that I wanted to get.
Mm.
And I made a part that I thought would be really fun for me. I wrote a movie for myself, basically. And I happen to be really good at production. So this movie came out, it won a couple festivals. And then other people in my community, because I have community and I surround myself with people who are working, were reaching out going, "Hey, will you do my thing?" Right? So one of the first ones, there's a comedian named Jonah Ray, and he's had quite a bit of success at this point. And he reached out to me and the guy who directed my movie and said, "Hey, I just got a deal to do this thing through Turner Broadcasting through TBS. We're going to put it on YouTube and we're going to make like 6 videos." And they told me I can do whatever I want. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is going to be so much fun." Like, "Will you produce it? Peter's going to direct it. I'm going to star in it. You'll have little bit parts here and there and we're going to play." And I was like, "This just sounds fun and ridiculous. And we're going to get paid to like make short films. hell yeah, because YouTube hadn't come out yet, right? So then we launched, we put it on YouTube. Our video was the first video on YouTube to hit 1 million views in that category.
Wow.
All right.
Living legend.
Yes. So if you're watching this and you're like, how come everything this girl touches turns to gold? Not everything I touch turns to gold, but I just follow my heart. I play and I say yes when something feels aligned, right? So if someone introduced you to someone and you have that email sitting there from 6 months ago and you haven't followed up, again, check your self-worth, your self-compassion, be kind to yourself and go, you know what? It's not too late for me to finally reply to that email about this opportunity and go, hey, so sorry it took so long. You don't have to explain why. I'd still love to connect. Okay.
Mhm.
So, anyhow, after the success of my short film and doing this other thing, then people just started reaching out to me to produce their stuff. And that's how I wound up with Oprah and all the other places. And it wasn't until 2012 that I actually sent out a job application and I got that job. And that's when I did a whole project for Google and Disney and all the other stuff. So, yeah.
That's so amazing. Well, I wanted to talk about meditation, if you have a daily flow, because it seemed like with my life, I had been really focused on music for like 15 years. And then I did a movie. I had a supporting role and I did a couple songs for a movie. And then I was like, I'm going to start taking screenwriting classes and acting classes. And I'm really going to focus on this. And I also discovered Abraham Hicks and was like meditating and journaling like positive aspects and listening to myself talk about like, I'm a musician, I'm a da da da, I da da da. And then it was like I manifested home ownership, being happily married. I met my idol, Ani DeFranco. Like she signed me, produced a record, took me out on tour. And all of this stuff kind of happened when I stopped working so hard on music.
Right.
And also, I think there's sort of a dark side to the woo woo where, like, I know someone who actually passed away of cancer and she was very spiritual and was very much not wanting to do all the Western medicine stuff. And also, I am connected to the ALS community, and it's really heartbreaking to be like, there's this dis-ease that so far there's not a cure for it, and it feels so cruel. And if someone could just change their thinking or get out of it, and it's like I'm kind of looking forward to dying someday so that I just like have all the answers
You've already done
because
that.
it just seems like, oh my god, like what is going on? But yeah, I'm curious if you can be kind of like, if someone's not feeling very into like charging crystals or meditation or like, why should I give a shit about this woo stuff? And also, if you're really into it and maybe bringing it back to the practicality where you're like, answer that email, hire someone to clean your house. Like it seems like you have one foot in both worlds, which I love.
I do. I do. So, first of all, let's talk about death real quick. Okay. In my Asterian astrology, I am a Persephone, which means she spends half of her time in spring and in on earth and creating, and she spends the other half of her time in the underworld because she's married to Hades. So I have a really interesting relationship with the other side. And I absolutely believe that there is a script.
Hmm,
So was I going to get breast cancer in this lifetime? Yeah, probably. I believe I planned that the way that you
hmm,
planned being a musician, right? Now, is it as outlined and scripted as is it cancer or could it have been something else? I don't know. I believe it's cancer, but maybe it's only an outline. I believe it's a script, okay? So, if we have astrology, if anyone is listening and believes in astrology and you've received joy, inspiration or healing from hearing information about your sign, that means you believe you were born right on time. You were born at that right time, and this advice is helping you. This astrology advice is helping you. So if you believe in astrology, or if you have any faith of any kind, you believe you were born right on time. If we believe we're born right on time, doesn't that also mean we leave right on time?
hmm,
Why would it just be the first one? So, where this really helped me in my life, this theory, this philosophy, my mother died when I was 12 years old. And
hmm,
she told me when I was 10 that she wasn't going to live to be 50. And she didn't really know how she was going to die, but she had been diagnosed with MS. So we thought maybe it had something to do with that, but she was in her 30s. and she was seemingly pretty healthy, pretty active, but she said, "I'm not gonna make it to 50." And she died when she was 37, 2 years after she told me that. And she was very psychic, very intuitive, very mystical, really cool, also really practical, really funny. And, I think her and I have a lot in common. And when she died, as much as I miss her every day and I wish that she never died, I never and I do think it's unfair. It feels unfair that a 12-year-old lost their mother. My sister was 16, she lost her mother at 16. It's too young, it's awful. I was never angry with her. I never felt like, "Why me?" I absolutely trusted there's this is by design in some way. I had to believe that, Kristen, otherwise I would have probably been a true fuck up in my life. I would have
Mm.
done all the drugs instead of being the safe house for everyone else to do drugs safely, right? Like, good an alcoholic versus, "Okay, come over to my house and drink, and I'll make sure give me all your keys," right? I just turned into the mom, basically. So we have to have some faith that if we're born on time, we leave on time. So I said earlier, I did chemo, I did radiation, I had surgery. Those are Western treatments. I am very spiritual, but there is magic in this world. There's earth magic and there's the magic that we do with crystals and healing and affirmations and all that stuff. We have earth magic. That's medicine, right? So if you want to be spiritual about it and bypass shit and refuse to take your antibiotics or your depression meds because you want to cure yourself, not everybody is able to do that. That takes a lot of years and dedication, less about time, but more about your commitment to your spiritual path,
Mm.
right? And someone might feel like, "I've been committed," not me, but whoever they are, right? "I'm so committed to my spiritual path. I fully trust that I'm going to heal myself of this cancer." But if it is, and maybe they are on that spiritual path, right? There's a lot of Louise Hay, right? There's so many people, Wayne Dyer, right? People die of cancer. It's in the script. And if it's in your
Mm.
script that you're going to live to be 100 or 120 or 70 or 37, that's in your script. So I ask you to have some faith and surrender. And if someone chooses not to do Western medicine and they are so peaceful in that choice and they don't feel any fear about it, then they get to live out however long their life is. And hopefully it's a really long time and they fucking conquered it,
Mm.
knowing that they have peace. But if they're on their deathbed and they're like, "I should have done chemo." No, honey, you did exactly what you felt was right for you.
Mm.
And that's the most important part. So if your friend or whoever has passed, had they done those Western things, would it have changed anything? Well, I also believe that there's multiple timelines. There's a timeline where she did choose
Mm.
treatment. There's a timeline where she didn't get cancer. There's a timeline where my mom is still alive. There's a timeline where you didn't write that letter to Ani, right? There's all these different
Yeah.
timelines. This is the one we're experiencing. So when we're manifesting something, because the script is already written, how do we manifest a script that's already written and locked? We're jumping timelines. We're jumping into an experience where we have more abundance. So as you continue to do your mantras and your spiritual work and create from a place of play, you're going to keep shifting your timelines. And you're going to notice
Mm.
as your frequency raises because you're shifting your timelines, it's not like you're going to wake up one day and all of a sudden you're living in New York and you're like, "Wait, what happened? I lived in California," right? It's these subtle changes, right? There's these infinite number of timelines. It's subtle changes. All of a sudden, people in your life that you're really close with, like, stop talking to you. And you're like, "What's going on with that?" You vibed out. You know frequency. You're a musician. If you're at a new frequency and they're down here, you guys can't hear each other. I can't hear what my dog hears,
Do you hear
right?
my dog going crazy in the
I do.
sorry
I
about
love
that.
it. Mine is sleeping through the whole thing. He's good. Okay. So be gentle with yourself as you transform. And as far as meditation, what do you want to say about that? And then I'll tell you about my meditation practice.
Well, I just wow, there's just so much wisdom. I'm so excited to, like, listen to this again because it takes time to have it all sink in, at least for me.
I do know that with my clients, when they record our sessions or when they do my online courses, they're like, "I need to do it 2, 3 times," right? Because I mean, how do you like, you're so gifted, Kristen, you know? If a 5-year-old came up to you and was like, "How do I sing and play guitar at the same time and do it like you?" You can't teach them everything you know. You're gonna give them some beginner ideas, and then you'll throw a few advanced ideas in there, and they need to listen to that recording or whatever it is over and over and over for the advanced ideas to eventually click in. But you've put the time and the energy into doing them. And I'm a student of the universe. I feel like I know a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what there is to know. Like, I'm excited also to get on the other side and learn about all the things, but I know I've been there many, many times. And so have you.
Hmm.
We already know everything, right? So it's just about remembering. What can I remember? And the best way to remember is through mindfulness. That's when our intuition opens up. That's when our light bulb above our head is shining bright and our guides and angels can come and talk through us because we're not distracted with a bunch of shit.
Mhm.
Okay. So if your phone tells you how many hours you averaged each day on your phone and it's more than you care to admit, put it down. Spend some time in silence, write, play with your dogs, go outside, eat good food, kiss someone gorgeous. Just like go experience life. Go to a show.
Yes. Go to a show and buy some merch.
That's right. I almost wore my Kristen Ford shirt and I was like, that's too fangirl.
I would just be curious, like, how, as an entrepreneur and someone who's self-employed and is doing so many different hustles, and like you said, you just had an audition, and like, there's different time constraints on so many things, right? Like, making a single and releasing it is going to be different than you hear a prompt for a sync placement and you need to record it right away, or you get an audition, or you are trying to plan an event and have people like your retreat that you have coming up is like literally so many people say that's like their dream to be like, I just want to host retreats like on the beach somewhere beautiful and have people meet up and like you're living it. So, how do you have a workflow where you're not just grinding all the time?
I'm a binger. All right. I'll eat the whole box of Girl Scout cookies. So that also means when I get into work mode, my husband calls it mad scientist mode. When he comes on the show, he'll probably talk more about this. But I get into this, and you said Abraham Hicks, like the vortex, right? I get into the flow when I am working, when I'm being creative, or if I'm, and, I'm producing someone else's podcast right now who asked me to do that. So I said yes, it felt aligned. So I'm doing her podcast. It's a lot of work, right? And sometimes I feel like it's too much. And I have to check myself and go, oh, is this the old Elysia that's always saying yes to all these projects because she's throwing up at the Apple store and just needs to feel safe and survive, right? So that hustle, you'd mentioned the word hustle about living in LA. I think that got imprinted on me and I have to always be aware of it so I don't overwork myself and burn out. Because when I looked back at why did I get cancer so that I never get cancer again, knock on wood, hopefully I don't, it's because I burned out. I put everyone else's opinions above my own. I let my industry validate who I was on a regular basis versus knowing who I was. I didn't have this, I wasn't aware of this confidence I have now back then. I knew I was an amazing actor, but did I think I was pretty? Did I think I was smart enough, good enough, whatever, right? No, I didn't. So now, as far as like a structure, I leave town a lot.
Mm.
Okay, like, I'll work a lot, and then I get out of here. Even when we lived in LA, my husband and I would leave town at least 1 weekend a month, whether it was wine country, and if we didn't have time to drive up to Napa, we'd drive to Temecula. We would maybe go see his parents in Santa Barbara. We had a Disneyland pass before they were ridiculously expensive, and we would have nights where we would just, hey, drive 30 minutes, go on Thunder Mountain, eat at the Mexican place, watch the fireworks, drive home, right? Just like make it a thing. If you're watching and listening to this and you're in a relationship, you have to nurture your relationships. You can't take them for granted. Spend time with people you love. I've watched a lot of videos. One of my certifications is on life purpose. I'm a life purpose certified coach. And in that fascination with that subject, I've watched a lot of videos of very elderly people talking about things they wish they had done more of in their life. And nobody ever says, I wish I made more money.
Huh.
Even broke people, right? Poor people, they never say that. They may have said, I wish I had done different things to save up more to spend more time with my family, but it's always, I wish I had this conversation. I wish I spent more time with my dog. I wish I spent more time with my wife or my husband or my family, right? It's always about relationships. That's the core of why we're here. We are a tribal people.
Hmm.
So it always comes back to community. So because I know that, I try not to isolate myself too much and overwork. Okay. So it's just about your priorities and what keeps you happy and healthy. And that keeps me happy and healthy. And So first of all, I do meditate every single day. If I miss a day, it's rare, and it's because I didn't prioritize myself or I overslept or something like that. And then in oversleeping, that's a choice. Because it's not like, oh my God, the alarm went off, I have to start work. It's no, the alarm went off and I laid in bed for 30 more minutes, right? Those are
Mm.
choices. And
Mhm.
again, am I going to judge myself for it or am I going to own it? I can own it and still go, I can be better. Yes, I own it. I made that choice. I'm not going to be hard on myself, but I know I can do better. So, first thing I do is I play a frequency meditation that my mentor made for me. And then I say an abundance prayer. I come into my office. I chant. I have a mala. It's a bead. It's a necklace with 108 beads. It's very common. You can buy them on Etsy, or I'm sure you might know people who make them, or if you want to buy them on Amazon, you can. And I chant. And my mother raised me Buddhist.
Hmm.
So there's lots of different chants. If you're like, what is she chanting about? If you want money, you can chant to the goddess Lakshmi. She's the goddess of abundance, right? So it's Om Sri, I am Mahalakshmi Namaha. I am the goddess of abundance. And
Om
you just say it.
Shri
Om
Maralak.
Sri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Sri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Sri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Right? It turns into a song. And it's not just about saying it and chanting it, it's actually feeling it and calling on that divine goddess to be with you. I have all these different chants that my astrologer gave me based on healing karma in my life. So, depending on the day of the week, I might do that specific chant to clear relationships, to heal maybe a lifetime where I was a total asshole, and things like that, right? So, and then I get out my notebook and I write, what does my soul need to hear today? And I've been doing channeled writing for many, many, many years. But 2 years ago, our friend Andrea Quinn gave me that prompt. And so I've been using it and it's really, really beautiful. What does my soul need to hear today? And I just open it up the way you start hearing music. It's just
Mhm.
coming through. I don't hear music the way you hear music. Okay. Maybe I'll write a funny song for the dogs. And yes, I'm a kind of a crappy drummer, but I could be good if I wanted to be good. So I channel and my guides and angels come through. And sometimes I'll channel loved ones and I'll just channel. And
Mm.
I drink lemon water first thing in the morning, warm lemon water. I drink bone broth. I don't have coffee. I haven't had coffee yet. It's 1 o'clock here in Nashville. I'll have coffee kind of a little bit later in the day because I know that it's going to look, if I haven't slept a lot, once in a while I'll have coffee in the morning, but it's too hard on my system, and then it spikes your nervous system, it can add to anxiety. So I don't want to have coffee until I'm calm.
Hmm.
I really, really don't. Until like I'm up, I'm doing my thing. We do a mile dog walks. There's time in nature. So I don't schedule anything with other people usually before 11 a.m. Now, if you've got kids, you got to get your kids out of the door, or you have to work at 9. That's not going to work for you, right? So you got to maybe get up at like 5. I have clients who get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't tell them they have to get up that early, but if you want to do the things you want to do in your life and you have other obligations or responsibilities, create time to do them. So if you're meditating or manifesting because you want money, you want fame, you want success, ask yourself, why do I want those things?
Huh.
Money to me has equaled safety in my life as a kid, right? So now I have the opportunity to evolve out of money being equated to safety. Money is just an exchange of energy, and it's a beautiful relationship we can have with it. So I like to imagine money as like this green, sexy goddess who like just hangs out with me. And I don't just expect her to show up. I don't get mad at her when she's not there. Right. If
Mm.
you imagined your money was a person, it's not even your money, it's God's money, it's the universe's money. We just get to experience it just like anything else, land, our body, our pets, right? So if we have a relationship with money, even if it's make believe, and I'm like, I've got this green, sexy goddess here, right? She kind of looks like a mermaid or a tree, and she's got like long black hair. And I was like, where are you? Why aren't you here? She's like, well, you haven't paid any attention to me. How much effort have you been putting into generate me? How much effort have you done to actually do your taxes right or reconcile your finances every week? And how do you talk about me? Why are you always
Hmm.
gossiping and talking shit about me?
Hmm.
Right? It's like, what is our relationship with this energy?
This is so good. This is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, babe. So
Wow.
don't meditate because you want to make money. Meditate because you want a relationship with the divine.
I love that. Well, we're like a bit over time, so I want to come into wrapping up. I have so many notes that I didn't even. I wanted to talk to you about voiceover work. I wanted to talk to you about the Course in Miracles. I wanted to talk to you about how you
Aw.
manifested a bunny for your birthday. Excuse me. But you have. Excuse me. I need a water.
It's okay. And I want to pull some
Getting too
cards for you. It won't be
excited.
like
Getting too
won't
excited.
be a full reading, but I want to pull some cards for you just for fun. And
Mm.
one thing I'm just starting to do on my YouTube channel, it might not be up by the time this comes out because you're putting it out so fast. Thank you.
It's coming out tomorrow. I
I
mean, it's
love
coming out
it. I love
now,
it.
but
Right. It's out now. Hi, you're listening in real time. I'm starting to do card pulls on my YouTube channel. So that'll be coming out this week. And whatever your astrology sign is, look for that video and that'll be the card that you need to hear. I channeled my guides, my intuition, and I pulled cards for everyone. And I'm going to do it pretty regularly. Whether you follow tropical astrology or sidereal astrology, because they're different, it will work for you. Okay. I know we were talking about that too off the air. Like, wait, there's 2 astrologies? Yeah, there's like 3 actually. Okay, so she's ready to receive. She's got her like
oh
go-go
yeah,
gadget.
I'm excited. Should I grab a crystal or something to be like?
Sure, grab a crystal. I love
Okay,
it.
here
I
we
love
go.
crystals. I have crystals all over the
Got
place here.
my orb right here.
I love it. So Kristen had mentioned that that is for her throat chakra. Oop, those parts popped out. Those might want to be yours. Okay. Okay. So too many jumped out. That was just me shuffling poorly. So your throat chakra is associated generally with different hues of blue. So if anyone is feeling like they're not speaking their truth, they want to be more creative, they need to speak up for themselves, they want to do it with kindness and compassion, bring in some blue energy, get a blue crystal, wear blue, paint something blue, look at it, imagine it, visualize it. So I love that you have that, sweetie. Okay, we've shuffled this enough. It's funny. If I shuffle it too close to the computer, it sounds like a fart.
Whoopee cushion drum roll.
Drum roll. Yeah, it's a spiritual drum roll. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, say your full name for me 3 times, including your middle name.
Kristen Oberman Ford. Kristen Oberman Ford. Kristen Oberman Ford.
Oh, sweetheart. I immediately see this beautiful life of yours. It feels, I'm seeing the desert. I'm just going to tell you everything I see. Okay. It looks like Africa. I always ask them why they're showing me these things. So we'll find out in just a second. So sometimes the energy is just letting it. Okay. So you're part of a tribe. This is a lifetime where you are a man. You are very, very tall. You're skinny, but you have muscles. You have very long limbs. I see you leaning over this campfire. Cool. It's always like, cool, yeah, but why? So let's find out why. Why are you here? So this is one of the lifetimes where you really learn to appreciate music. Right? And they're showing me you being the storyteller in this village. And it's funny because you keep looking over at grandma, at the elder, and you're like, I'm not trying to outshine you, but I got some stories to tell, right? So there's like this permission. Ooh, ding, ding, ding. The permission. So anytime I see a past life, it's always for the purpose of what karma can be cleared. So as you go through life, Kristen, this time, and you find yourself wanting permission for something, like earlier, you flagged, like I just walked into the director's camp and you're like, that was bold, right? So there's a part of you that feels like you have to ask for permission and you're so polite and I get that about you, but this is a lifetime where that was really a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to look at that. You're so talented. You're leading drum circles. You're making instruments. Okay, they're showing me like dead animals. You're making instruments. You're working with children. You trade these instruments for different things for your village. So you're a provider for your village. But something struck in the center of your heart, almost like, a Harry Potter scar, like a little piece of lightning when the elder grandma scolded you for interrupting one time. Okay. So Is there anything connected to that in this lifetime where you feel like you can't or haven't always been able to speak up?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know.
And for everyone listening and watching who knows Kristen really well, you're like, "What? She's such an advocate." Right? You are. You're an advocate, you're an ally, but they're just showing me that you have asked for permission too many times.
Hmm.
And you're healing that karma in this lifetime. Okay. So we're here to heal karma. Anytime we've had a past life and there's any karma left over that we didn't heal in that lifetime, it plays out in future lifetimes. So part of your path at this trajectory and the time you've been on this earth, you've been working through healing that karma, where there might have been moments where when you were young, that it felt scary to ask for what you wanted or to say, no, that's wrong. Or I don't like this, or I want something better, or I want something different, or hey, this is who I am, you know? And
Wow, that makes me wanna cry. Just
I cry,
it's right
babe.
there.
Hey, yeah, I want to cry too. I usually do. I was late today. Okay, so that's a big part of your karma that you're releasing. So please, from this moment on, anytime you're hesitating because you're like, what are they going to think of me? Or should I actually say this? Am I going to offend someone? That's never your intention, sweetie. And if they get offended, that's their choice. You're not, and you're a conscious enough person where you're going to choose your words, right? I always choose my words. I never intend to offend anybody, but once in a while, people are offended. Okay. It's okay. Let them, like, they get to be that
Mhm.
way. And you get to just love and forgive and move on and say, no, that wasn't what I was trying to do or say if they give you the opportunity to tell them. All right. I just got this like dizzy energy around this. When you feel like you want to say something that might upset someone, do you get dizzy or do you feel like, I don't know if it's sick is the right word or like unstable?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, like, being too much. I've been too much for people that I've dated, or I've been too much for bandmates or different people I'm in business with, or I'm out of my lane for, like currently, I'm, like, a bartender, right? I'm not the manager, I'm not the one who and my ideas are, like, too much, and if I continue to put them out there, then it could even result in me, like, getting fired because it's annoying. And yeah, I think there's maybe just a lot of me being kind of like the tall thing is interesting because I was this tall when I was 12 years old. I'm 5'8.5", and
Oh, wow.
that's tall for a lady. And I remember being in a school play when I was like in 5th grade. I was Athena, goddess of wisdom, and I like had my blocking to like walk across, and like the gym teacher who was like directing this elementary school play was like, "You walked across the stage like John Wayne, like you're Athena, goddess of wisdom, like that's wrong." And this feeling of like sort of my impulses are often like not the norm. So that should
How
be always like pull it in, pull it back,
Right,
or
right.
you're gonna get
Just
voted off the island.
right. So that's how this guy felt when grandma yelled at him for always wanting to tell stories in
Mm.
this lifetime, right? That's just what I feel. So my eyes are tearing up when uh a long time ago I was studying mediumship and I asked the teacher, "How do I know that this is real?" Because I'm just seeing all these visions and it feels like my imagination. How do I know I'm not just making it up? And he said, "Ask your guides for a sign." And ever since then, I cry every time. Since that fucking day, my guides were like, "You wanna know?" So now, I've been saying to my guides, "I believe in my gifts, you don't have to keep making me cry." But now I think my brain has just
Wow.
associated that activation. So,
This
yeah,
is
if
amazing.
oh, it's so fun. Okay, honey. So, please, please know that you are not too much and we need you to be more than enough. We need you to be a lot. We need you to be all those things because everyone else who's falling in line, they're not making a difference. They're not shaking shit up. They're not making change in this world for women, for their industry. any of that stuff for their communities, for LGBTQIA, for everyone who is not having a voice themselves. Like, it is so important for you to have that voice. And your creativity is every single lifetime you've ever had. Okay. If you've had a lifetime where you were less creative, you were unhappy. Okay. Those were
Mm,
hard lifetimes. They're showing me a lifetime where you were almost like a nun. I'm not very familiar with the structure of the church, but it looks like you were a nun,
wow.
not happy there, but
I
you
wonder if I had a secret lover
you probably did. I was just gonna
over at the
say,
nunnery.
I love you're fucking spreading it everywhere. Yeah, that was part of it, is like telling people they were safe to like have different thoughts about life or religion
Mm,
or whatever, right? So it's just who you are, right? It's the blueprint of your spirit to make change. And look, if you know that you're not supposed to overspeak on your bartending job, then you don't overspeak because you keep the job, right? But eventually you're not going to have that job. You're going to be doing some other things. And when you speak your truth everywhere else, it's going to be impossible to hold back at work. So you'll
hmm.
find ways that are conscious and to do it. Okay, when I was a bartender at the ArcLight, was ArcLight around when you were in LA, or I think it had already closed by
Oh,
then?
this is like a giant dome on
Yeah,
Sunset.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
closed. You
yeah, so I
bartended
was
there. What was
yeah,
it?
I bartended there. It was so fun. It was one of my favorite jobs I ever had, and, um, I wanted to be in charge of my schedule.
Mhm.
So, I asked the manager, "Hey, I know writing the schedule is a pain in the ass because everyone's always putting their requests. I would love to be in charge of writing the schedule." She was like, "Absolutely, take that shit off my plate." So, I came in for $7 an hour once a week on a Friday and wrote the next schedule. And so I had to deal with if someone didn't get their schedule request. That came on me, not her, but I did it because I was willing, because I wanted my own schedule. I wanted to be in charge of my schedule. That also meant that sometimes I took shitty shifts that no one else would want because I always gave myself Friday and Saturday night too. Like I give myself the good money nights. So sometimes I did Monday lunch. So, but I found a creative way to make the system better because no one was happy with the way she was doing it and I wanted something.
I
On the
love
surface,
that.
it might have appeared selfish. You're like, that's a selfish story. But most people got their requests where before they might not have. Before it might have only been the people that she always favored. And I was not one of those people. Okay. So before we go, I'm just going to pull a couple cards for you. How you feeling with all that energy? It's really heavy.
I feel pretty good. And I have one final thing for you too once we
Okay, before
wrap
we
the
go. Okay.
mediumship. Yeah.
No problem. All right. So, and I also find that, if you're listening to this right now and you heard Kristen receive that mini reading, you're hearing it for a reason too. So there's something for you where you want to advocate more for in your life, that you want to ask for what you want, that you want to speak up
Mm.
for something. And you might be really good at speaking up for yourself or advocating. You're like, I don't know, Elysia, that doesn't resonate with me. But then all of a sudden your mom's going to call you and ask you to do this and you don't want to and you don't want to, right? So there's someone in your life where it's going to show up for you. I'm pretty
This is
good
the
about this.
biggest water I've ever seen.
I've already refilled it today.
Nice.
I know it's like bigger than my head. That's so funny.
Y'all, if you're listening to the podcast, you need to get over to YouTube and like and subscribe because
Yes, you
the
do.
visuals
Like,
are happening.
They something's happening. All right. So, all right, sweets, here we go. Normally I do a 3-card draw or a 4-card draw when it's a full reading. We're just going to pull one today. So, I want you to set an intention, and everyone who's listening or watching, this is also for you, even though Kristen is the one that's leading the charge. So, set an intention, tune into your heart. Your heart center is where you manifest from. Even though we call it a gut feeling, it's actually your heart. And as best as you can, tune into the feeling of unconditional love. If you feel like you don't have someone in your life who you unconditionally love or unconditionally loves you, think of someone who might not be here anymore, who unconditionally loved you, or maybe a pet that you unconditionally love. Just tune into that feeling. Let me know when you've got it.
I've got it.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to call in a present moment card. This one just popped out. Your life is a canvas.
Cool.
artist, manifestation, creative accountability. Can't make this shit up.
Wow.
This is the Rebecca Campbell Starseed deck. So this is a spiritual deck all about like cosmos and like other galaxies and aliens and water and frequency. Of course, you got the creative card, Kristen. You are an artist. So your life is your canvas. You really can't fuck it up, sweetie. You
Thank you.
can't. Okay. You're welcome. So replenish your energy.
Did you
Okay.
hear that, Dad?
That's right. Okay. Did you hear that, Dad? It's true. I was working with my energy mentor and she said to me, "Do you think you're pretty?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty." And she said, "Do you love your body?"
Mm,
I was like, "Sometimes."
mm,
She said, "I'm going to ask you again. Do you love your body?" I said, "No." And she said, "Do you think you're supposed to look a certain way?" And I said, "Yes." And I immediately thought about how my arm is swollen from lymphedema from having had cancer. You can see on camera the difference between my right arm and my left arm, right? And when I see myself on camera and I see that, I have a very judgmental experience about it. And it has inspired me in a negative way to not be so much on camera as an actor, right? When I'm pulling
mm,
cards or whatever, this or that, it's fine. But to see myself on a big screen across from a movie star with my big swollen arm triggers something in my mind that I don't like. And she said, "Where did that story come from?" And I said, "My grandmother. My grandmother was Miss Atlantic City." And she said, "Well, your grandmother learned that from someone else, and she's really sorry that she put that on you, and you could let it go. And if we chose this lifetime, then we also chose this body," which is something I said earlier, right? If you chose this
mhm,
body, you chose lymphedema. You chose to have some cellulite. It's okay, right?
hmm,
You chose to walk across the stage like a cowboy instead of a queen. It's fine. Like, that's how you walk, okay? You chose it, babe. So, like, love it, okay?
mm,
Love it. You know, from working with Abraham Hickstock, what you focus on expands. So, ooh, my
mhm.
candle just went out as I said that.
Whoa.
That's weird. So, if you spend so much time thinking about all the things you need to fix, isn't the universe just
Mhm.
going to give you more things to fix because that's what you're thinking about?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about Clarity Camp.
Oh, come, please come.
I actually have shows in Southern California that weekend, so I will
Oh,
be
amazing. Amazing. Don't cancel on
occupied,
us.
other coast, but wow. No, that's
Yeah.
so powerful and so beautiful. This speaking of grandmothers, this was my grandmother's piece of sheet music. This show is Oberman Amplified. This art my grandma gave to me. Yeah, I want you to leave us with a smile. So it could be a joke, it could be a funny story, but just some levity to close out this amazing out the most out of this world over and amplified we've ever had on this beautiful full moon.
Mm.
Blood moon, worm moon.
Blood moon. I should also mention I have a Patreon community and I do new moon and full moon sessions. It's usually on the actual moon. And like I have a so the day that this comes out, if you're watching this on time, you could join my community and join the full moon call. And I do card readings for everybody. I teach about the moon, I teach about the astrology of the moon, and I talk about how this energy of this moon, whether it's new moon, full moon, impacts your business and your energy flow. So it's right now very, very affordable. It's around $30 a month. And we do 2 live calls a month and you get readings and you're part of the community. So that is an easy peasy thing for you to join and be. Okay. There are so many funny stories and I've been thinking about this and
Or like super raunchy jokes. Like I clicked explicit on this podcast. I said, well, this is explicit, is not for children.
not for children.
But it also could be just like heartwarming.
Uh, God, so many ridiculous stories. Okay. Did you watch Star Trek when you were a kid?
No, but I'm aware of its existence.
All right, I'll tell this funny story that may not apply to everybody, but just imagine. So, my mother took me to a Star Trek convention because her and I watched it's already embarrassing. Her and I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm an '80s baby, and 90s, and we watched Star Trek Next Generations. That was where Patrick Stewart came on the scene. We love him. Now he's voicing Family Guy and all this other stuff. My mom had a big crush on Patrick Stewart, and he wasn't at the convention, but Brent Spiner was at the convention, and his character on Star Trek Next Generation was Data. He was like an AI robot guy. And when we were there, he was doing a Q&A, and my mom said, "Hey, why don't you give him my business card?" My mom was a massage therapist. She was president of the Florida State Massage Therapy Association. She said, "Hey, why don't you give Brent Spiner my business card? Because maybe when he's in town, he can come in and I'll work with him." I don't know what I was thinking. I raised my hand. They hand me the mic, and my 10-year-old ass, my chubby 10-year-old ass with a mullet, probably wearing a Bon Jovi shirt or a Star Trek shirt, I stand up. Everyone else stood up, asked their question, and sat down. We're sitting in the back. I stood up. I start walking down the center toward the stage. I'm like, "Mr. Spiner, you're in town for a few days. You're probably feeling tired. Your body's tight. I'm 10." And he just starts laughing. He's like, "What is going on?" Right? I'm like, "Maybe you need a massage. Maybe you need a massage
From a 10-year-old girl.
Maybe you need a massage from someone who has a lot of experience, someone who might be the president of the Massage Association." And I had the business card in my pocket, and I get up to the stage. And I'm like, "Call my mom." And I had this card, and everyone starts cracking up, and I got really embarrassed. I'm like, "Why is everybody laughing? Didn't I do a good job?" Like, this dude thinks this 10-year-old wanted to like massage him. Anyhow, that'll hit with some people for sure. There's that confidence. I don't know. I just thought I was funny.
Yeah, you are who you are. I
Yeah,
love
my mom
that.
loved it. So
That's such a sweet moment that you had with your mom. Well,
yeah.
Elysia Skye, thank you so much for this incredible journey we've taken together. We'll see you on the Patreon. We'll see you maybe at this retreat. And yeah, just keep on doing the great things in the world. It was such a treat to have you.
Thank you, my love. I'd love to have you on the Brilliance Method. So we'll see you over there.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. Big love. And until next time.
Bye.